This is Flowers on the Stage.
Good morning, Jeremy. How you doing?
Doing good, just enjoying another morning at home with the fam.
So you all got the down low. We're recording this in the morning, and before we dive in, gotta mention the upcoming Pigeon shows, March 7th and 8th at the Boulder Theater. Can't wait for those, and got a link in the description for everyone out there to grab tickets to that, as well as Pigeons Festival Dome Fest in West Virginia, August 7th to 9th, and all of Pigeon Spring Tour. We got links in the description. So yeah, definitely check that out. And yeah, that said, Jeremy, starting this off, what have been your favorite parts of getting to be an artist recently?
Really everything. I love being an artist. It's the dream come true. It's the dream I never even thought I had. It's truly amazing. Most people wake up and they're like, I got to go to work. For me, when I get to go play a show or go to Pamper, it's really exciting. Especially when we get to go on tour. We get to travel the country, see all the cool places that we love to visit, see all the people we love to see out there, and play music every night. And yes, there's a lot of work behind the scenes, but when we get to go out and just play, it's the greatest thing ever, and it's tremendously fun and really rewarding on every level.
I feel like, with being a chef or a coach or a kindergarten teacher, some examples, like someone gets into that line of work and then, a decade or two goes by and that work shapes their personality a bit. People are changed by the things they do. And I'm curious to hear what you think about, if the time you've spent on stage performing, if that's changed you at all as a person.
It's a great question. I don't know. I would say I'm sure it has. It has to have. We've been touring, we've been playing as a band for 17 years plus, and there's no way that couldn't have shaped me. But, it's hard for me to say how it shaped me.
Mhm.
I would need to do a deep dive. Um, you know, I've, I mean, a big thing is, I really try to, as much as possible, be in the moment, in my daily life, whether I'm at home with fam or on tour with the band or anything. And like, I think that is a key factor in really enjoying all the moments. Being in the moment when you're playing a show is so crucial to having a good show and like letting the improvisation and the jams really flow through you. So you have to be in the moment. You can't be thinking about anything else. You have to just be right there now. And I think kind of taking that, applying that to the rest of my life, or trying to, I should say, um, is a really important thing that I think has sort of stemmed from touring and like just playing music.
That like sense of like fully being present on stage you're talking about, right? Like being, you can tell if a musician's like fully involved in the note or maybe two places at once, right? I'm curious with you as a fan, as a player, like had that been a point in your kind of development as an artist? It's finding, okay, like maybe I'm good at the guitar, but I really need to like have every cell in my body with me here when I'm on stage and not thinking about something or um, just kind of in my own shell. Like, what had there been a point for you where you really looked at that as something that was just so important to dial in on?
Um, I mean, I really think the past few years I've really started to hone in on that importance. It's being in the zone, being in the moment isn't something that just doesn't just happen. I mean, sometimes it does, but it's not something you could force. And I mean, I wish I could say I'm just there every show and like truly present. I mean, every show I'm having a fantastic time, loving it. And it's really my favorite thing to do in the world. Even if something weird's going on that day or my gear is breaking, I'm gonna have a great time. I get to be on stage playing music with my brothers, and it's a great time, no matter what. But if I'm truly in the zone, in the moment, nothing else on my mind, and everything could be breaking around me, and I could still somehow be there in the moment, in the zone, then I'll feel like I had a better show. Um, I don't know if there really is much of a difference between those shows and the other shows where I might be like thinking here and there. But I mean, one thing is for sure that it's always fun, no matter what. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's become something I've been trying to really work on, is trying to how to really help myself be completely in the moment at every show. And it's hard to
And
turn off the entire world, every day for a few hours, but it's great.
If you're in Colorado, don't miss Pigeons Playing Ping Pong's 2-night run at the Boulder Theater, March 7th and 8th. Tickets at pigeonsplayingpingpong.com. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah, and as a music fan myself, one of my favorite things about going to a concert is being there in the moment with the band, with all the people in the crowd. And that's the ultimate feeling, just leaving everything else behind, going to the show, being there, just being present in the moment with 1,000 of your best friends and a cool band playing, just having a good time. And it's a really special thing to be able to be a part of that on the other end. I mean, really on both ends. I mean, when I'm home, I go to shows as much as I can. Obviously it's a little hard to get out now with 2 kids, but I definitely put a strong bit of effort forth to get out and see as much live music as possible. We just got back from Jam Cruise, which is my favorite gig of all, because we were out for 5 days. We do 2 sets and a whole slew of sit-ins, but we get to just be there and soak in so much music for 5 days, and it's just absolutely incredible.
oh yeah. So aside from being fully there, what other kind of personal attributes of someone you work with, whether it's on stage or off stage, like what are some of your favorite aspects of people you get to work with? Not specific things, but maybe main personality traits that you most appreciate.
Oh man, that's a tough question. I don't know. I mean, it's really fun to be able to feed off other people's energy and other people's creative ideas, and like the directions people might pull in like an improvisational sense. So for like, we could start a jam and I could be like, I'm gonna play this note, but then Ben could lead us into something slightly different. I'm like, oh, that wasn't what I was thinking, but that's cool. And and you just have to go along with that direction. And meanwhile, Greg could be playing a chord over that and suddenly change, but Ben changes also at the same time. And it could create this interesting moment that sometimes could be beautiful, sometimes could be a little weird, but you're in the moment and you just have to kind of adapt and react to these different situations that happen on stage in a live jam. And it's always exciting. We never really know where we're going to go in a improvisational moment, but it's always fun, even if it doesn't go the way we want, and even if it seems like for us, like, oh man, what the fuck are we doing now? Like, we're it's kind of fun to get lost in the music in that moment. It's a unique experience that we get to do in front of a crowd somehow. And I think as a fan, it's on the other end, it's special to watch a band sort of get lost in the music, even if it leads to a moment of uncertainty. When they break through, it's always very cool and fun for everyone.
Absolutely. Music aside, what would you say are maybe the aspects of Pigeons, of you 4 guys with and beyond, the 4+ dudes, with your dynamics, like that's allowed you to gel for so long, and have this longevity?
I mean, a lot of the key thing to longevity and like keeping it going is open communication. That is the most important thing to any relationship, whether it's a band, a marriage, a partnership. Open communication is key. But, I'm super lucky with Pigeons. It's 3 of my best friends in the world, who we get to go on tour, see the country, see the world, and play music every night. And, we all have completely different personalities, but that's kind of how it works. That's what makes it work. Like, I don't know, we're all very different people, but when you put us all together, that's what makes Pigeons. that's what makes us, I guess, somewhat different. I mean, every band is completely unique in that way because, no matter what, it's going to be four different or however many personalities thrown together on a stage, um, creating music together. And, we all try to add in as much as we can to our songs, like from an individual perspective. We write a ton together as a group, and it's cool to see what happens. Every day is usually exciting, whether it's working on new music, playing a show, getting a fun show offer, finally locking in the details of a tour, or just dealing with some bullshit that isn't fun, but you could call it exciting. Um, but it's I don't know. I mean, I think a key thing for us was, we were all friends first, and we try to really keep that dynamic. Like our band and our crew is our family, our extended family, I should say. And we really try our hardest to make it fun while we're out playing shows and on the road. And that's a key factor and key ingredient to us and I think our success. I mean, when we were younger, touring like crazy, we still tour like crazy, but when we were doing like nearly 200 shows a year, we were playing a lot of not so great dive bars to tiny crowds, but we were having a great time. We got to play music every night. And so it didn't really matter. I feel like you were one of those people at like a Woodlands Tavern show with like 50 people. And we would always have a blast.
What would you say are the most important traits that would describe like the ideal leader of a group?
Keeping it cool, being level-headed. Really, I mean, that's such a key factor. The leader cannot be losing it. And I mean, no one, we try not to pinpoint one of the band members as like the leader. We all kind of lead in different moments, but we all have our moments of like triumph and whatever. But yeah, I mean, really being able to keep level-headed and handle situations without panicking, without breaking that medium ground, calmly and efficiently. And it's like when me and Greg used to produce Dome Fest, we were running around like crazy, like handling every insane situation that could possibly come up. But when we were running that, we were both really good at just staying calm and just handling situations versus letting it overwhelm us. And, it's like, oh my God, the fields are flooding, the cars are all getting stuck. What do we do? Instead of panicking, we're like, okay, we need to take a step back and think of a solution here. Panicking doesn't help anyone. And, we both excelled at that with Dome Fest. And that was, as crazy as it was. And like, I don't even know how I did that and played 6 sets of music through the weekend alongside that, but we did it. And, I think, really, it's hard to look back and like think, how did we pull it off? Wearing
A lot
both
of
hats.
mud.
But that's really a key thing is like overcoming obstacles and kind of making steps forward even in moments of peril and like where things might be going really south.
Absolutely keeping cool,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, on the stage when we're playing a show, we've had just about everything that could go wrong during a show. Yeah. And the key thing, what we always have done from day one is you play through. Your string breaks, keep playing. Unless it's really out of tune, then maybe you stop and tune. Or I quickly switch guitars. Power break, power blows out, drum jam. We all grab percussion instruments. Lose power, red rocks. You see what happens. You got to flow with it. And you can't break. You have to keep going. We've literally had like, I don't know, we've had all our gear break on stage. You just go through it. Monitors stop working, just listen harder, you know? And you just kind of, you really, I mean, going with the flow is a big thing there, especially on the musical front.
So zooming out, kind of looking back at getting to play stages like Red Rocks, jamming with your heroes on Jam Cruise, you name it, all your biggest kind of quote unquote successes that you've gotten to have. So with all that kind of in context, I'd love to hear from you kind of what have you learned brings you the most actual fulfillment among all of these achievements? And like, yeah, what have you found has been most powerful for you in terms of like what you can hang your hat on with your career?
Really, it's the fans. It's seeing the people in the audience at every show just having an amazing time, just seeing them smile and dance and like seeing them soak in the moment. That to me is always the most powerful thing that I could pull from a show, or really my entire experience doing what we do. Yes, it's incredible to jam with some of our heroes, but really the feeling of watching the fan be able to have that experience that that me as a music fan have at other shows, that's worth it all. That is to me the golden ticket, and I love jamming with extra people. We love having guests on stage. It's a constant with us. It's really fun. It makes it interesting, but at the end of the day, it's the fans. It's the people in the crowd. It's when we talk to people after the show, them saying something like, "Your music has changed my life," or any impact that we've had on them as people with our music is easily the most powerful and most significant thing we have done as a band and will continue to do. And I mean, that is not something you could replace with anything.
And talking about all the highs, but also the lows, like talking about times during COVID, you bring up those dive bar days in the early days. Answering from the perspective of maybe not when things are great, you're playing a tour to sold out shows every night, but just maybe for artists out there who are way more on the grind without actual success in front of them. What's most important for you when you define success for yourself on a day-to-day basis? Like at the end of the day, you didn't have a gig that day.
Making something of the day, regardless of what I'm doing, regardless of what the day is, accomplishing something, whether it's playing a show, doing something that makes someone else happy, whether it's through music or just helping someone, and just, not sitting on your ass all day. And trust me, I have plenty of unsuccessful days. But, really just doing something with your day, I think is the key. And it's a stupid answer, but when you're an artist, like progress is success. Whether you're getting better at playing a part, whether you're seeing the 10 people in the crowd grow to 15, that's progress. And, when you mentioned the dive bars before, those weren't lows. Those were the highs. They were just the highs at that moment, and even if that dive bar gig with 20 people was kind of like the low of the week, so to speak, and 2 nights later you played like a club with 200 people, that dive bar gig in St. Louis was amazing because, I don't know, the last time in St. Louis there were 5 people there or whatever, and you get to still play music. And there are still those 20 people there really enjoying themselves. So that to me is a successful gig. If you go play a gig, that same gig, and you're like, oh, fuck, no one showed up, this sucks, and you kind of mail it in, and no one in the band has fun, and you're just going through the motions, that is a fail. And in my opinion, that's the only way that's how you fail as a musician. I think mailing it in, like just going through the motions, is you've lost the fans already. That's how you go from 20 people to 0 people, in my opinion. But yeah, it's the key thing is, I mean, for any band that's trying to get out there and tour, and they're like, God, like, man, why is there only 20 people here? Like the key thing is just have fun, enjoy the fact that you're out in another state, somewhere else other than your home, playing music. And there's anyone there who appreciates it. Like that's pretty cool. There are a lot of artists, there are millions of artists out there that don't have fans, that don't have people appreciating their music. They don't get to play for anyone, It's truly a special thing to be able to perform for any audience who like cares at all, and it's amazing. The odds are stacked completely against you as an artist. And if you make any sort of success as an artist is a huge success, in my opinion. I didn't think it was possible for me to become a professional musician. It was like, that wasn't even like, just because it's so unrealistic. I was like, all right, well, I gotta figure out what kind of job I can get out of college. But, we worked really hard at it. We had a lot of fun and we sort of went for it. Like the timing was right. We were like, all right, let's try playing more shows. Let's try touring a little bit. And gradually we start touring more. Then we're doing 200 shows. And then we dial back 200 to play some bigger cities and bigger venues, instead of all the little side markets. And 17 years later, here we are, and things are great. We're truly lucky. But we worked hard. It's not just luck. It's a lot of work.
Ride. Amazing, amazing story. And so, yeah, with where you're at now, what would you say growth looks like for you these days?
It's the fact that, to me, it's all about we're still doing this. We're still playing. There's still fans coming to every show. And it's amazing. It's not an easy world for artists. It's especially difficult, really. And we're still standing and we're having a great time. The fans are coming. The shows are full of excited people, having an amazing time. And we are super blessed to have that. And that to me is just, all the success I could need in the moment, and I don't know, we're still out there having fun. This isn't like, we have another show. This is like, hell yeah, we have a show. And I don't know, we get to leave for tour next week and we're all super excited to get out there and play our asses off every night.
I love it. So yeah, kind of winding down here. I'd love to hear something about life that you believe now that maybe when you were younger you didn't necessarily believe.
All my music related ones, I've actually been pretty consistent, which is interesting. For the most part, my general approach, but trying to think of something that's an actual answer to your question. I guess one way I can answer this question is to say, you got to always remember to zoom out and see the big picture when you might be focusing in on some small, minute detail or small moment in time that's bothering you or frustrating you. You have to zoom out and see, okay, this is all fine in the greater picture of things.
I love that.
I think that's something that I've gotten better at doing, but haven't always been very good at doing.
I love that answer. And yeah, me thinking back to when I was more of a dumb kid, I would get so just so zoomed in on these little things of my life as opposed to getting that big picture. That's definitely something that comes with age.
Yeah, and that's part of maturity, and it just takes time for people to really realize that. And yeah.
And my final question for you, Jeremy, what do you feel like is the best advice that you've been given in your life that you've actually followed?
Stay in the van as long as possible. Tour in the van until you're at the point where you could technically get 2 tour buses. Then maybe try the tour bus. Many artists have told that to me, including Dave Grohl and Mark Brownstein, for instance. That was 2 bits of advice I got from both of them many years ago. When we first met, Mark Brownstein, we opened for Electron probably, or I guess we opened for, I don't know, 2012 or 13. And then and I got to meet Dave Grohl, I think 2000, I don't remember, 14 or 15. They both had the same bit of advice. And yeah, that's super important, you know, as someone who's tries to be, you know, a business guy at heart. It's the economics of touring are very challenging, extremely difficult. And it's easy to be like, you know, I guess you could say, you know, be like, oh yeah, we're touring, the shows are going great. Let's get a tour bus. Tour buses are like the worst economic thing to happen to a band. They're amazing, and we tour in tour buses, but only when we're doing an extended run, for the most part, or if we have to logistically. But you know, it's important to like, I don't know. And there's something special about grinding it out in a van, you know, with a bunch of dudes or women, you know, and that's part of the experience, you know, and we spent so much time in our van or our vans. We've gone through so many vans. It's a bonding experience, you know, especially when the van breaks down, you know, it's you, as I said before, you handle the situation, you don't let it overcome you. And it's part of the experience. It's part of the ride. And hopefully you make it to the gig. That's the goal. And knock on wood, you know, we haven't missed a gig yet due to van troubles. But yeah, I mean, it's even if you see your friends' bands or other bands touring in a tour bus and you're the next upcoming band who's doing really well, don't just be like, oh, we should get a bus. Just wait, because it's very expensive. And you know, it's very hard to make a living playing music, and you got to keep your expenses in check. And tour bus is that's a rough one. Although if you're doing a certain level tour and you're bringing a certain level of production and your drives are long, you know, it becomes essential. So, and it's awesome. I fucking love the bus, but don't get one.
Well, I won't anytime soon, and
I know.
yeah, hopefully you just saved some up and coming bands some problems there. But Jeremy,
Yeah.
man, thank you so much, dude. So glad that the Pigeons flame is burning so bright, and dude, to hear your takes on life, like as a fan from afar, just seeing the absolute amazing demeanor of the group, no matter what bullshit is obviously thrown your way on tour. Like, man, so grateful for Pigeons, the memories, and hopefully a lot of future memories to come.
I appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure. And yeah, we hope to see you next week.
This is Flowers on the Stage, a podcast about being creative and finding success. To support it, please check out our sponsors, New Belgium Brewing and Thrax CBD.